Dragon Ball Super Superhero has been highly anticipated for a number of years now, being announced about 2 years ago, and like with most people, I was very worried when I first saw the trailers for Dragon Ball Super Superhero. It confirmed a lot of the rumours that we've been seeing ever since Dragon Ball Super Broly, that the entire film was going to be in CGI. And I was so worried about that because it's such a departure from the traditional Dragon Ball style, and I was worried that they were going to make it completely look like a Dragon Ball Xenoverse cutscene. And honestly, in some ways it kind of does, but in the best way. The film still keeps a lot of that Dragon Ball charm. That Akira Toriyama art style is still definitely very prevalent, and that writing style that accompanied it is still Dragon Ball. It's still Dragon Ball at the end of the day. And the worry for me and a lot of people when the rumours came up about a full CGI film was that this was going to feel not like a Dragon Ball property. But fortunately that was not the case, and this film really does add a lot to the legacy of Dragon Ball overall. The CGI is not something I expect to stick around, maybe for future films, but definitely not when Dragon Ball Super comes back to TV. But I think that this is going to be a one and done thing. I think this is just something that we're going to try for the sake of trying it. But an interview with Akira Toriyama that I thought was very interesting, and I hadn't considered this. This interview came out just before the film came out this year. Akira Toriyama said that Dragon Ball Super has been mired with a lot of framing issues, and I think we all know what he's on about there. But he says that with CGI it's a lot easier to not have those mistakes pop up. Those mistakes are almost exclusive to 2D animation, but CGI doesn't have those issues. And I can kind of see what he's going for there. A lot of the fight scenes in Battle of Gods, Resurrection F, and Dragon Ball Super Broly did use CGI because they didn't want to have these weird mid-frame scenes like what we saw in Dragon Ball Super and what Dragon Ball Super was dragged by the internet for. So I think that the push to full CGI was kind of something that was a long time coming, and I think Akira Toriyama's right. It does limit the number of awkward frames mid-actions. The story itself is actually really good. It's kind of a throwback to the original Dragon Ball in a lot of ways. The story revolves around a character called Magenta who has recruited a character called Dr. Hedo to try and help rebuild the Red Ribbon Army. And the way the story is told kind of reminds me more of that original Dragon Ball. Maybe early Z as well, but definitely more early Dragon Ball. Because while there is less emphasis on fighting until the later parts of the film, the early parts of the film are all based on world building and character development in ways that I think that Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball GT and Dragon Ball Super kind of didn't do. They still did it, just not to the extent that Dragon Ball did. Dragon Ball was the best series out of all of them for world building and character development, in my opinion. And I think that the way that they handled their characters in this film was very reminiscent on the way they did it back in Dragon Ball. Things like Piccolo donning one of the Red Ribbon Army Guards suits to infiltrate the base, I think was really very Dragon Ball-esque. It's the sort of thing you would have seen back in Dragon Ball, whereas in Z, it would have just been Goku going in there and beating the crap out of everyone. We're introduced as well to two of the best new characters Dragon Ball have introduced in a long time, Gamma 1 and Gamma 2, especially Gamma 2. Gamma 2 is the absolute best. He is a king, and I will have no bad things said about Gamma 2. The relationship between Piccolo and Pan also gets a lot of development right at the start of the film, and it's so wholesome that I need to see more of it. Piccolo is this geeky uncle sort of thing, and he gets so frustrated with Gohan and Videl not having the time for Pan, because clearly Pan is the reason why Pan is Piccolo's reason for living at this point. And it's so cute. He even has a pink Hello Kitty looking phone with a meowing ringtone. That's his Pan phone. And it's so freaking wholesome that I just need more of this when Dragon Ball Super actually comes back. The character of Pan is being written so well and developed so well that she's kind of not even reliant on Piccolo at this point. She is her own independent character and just sort of lives for the adventure. She kind of has that sort of similar energy that Kid Goku did back in Dragon Ball, and I'm all here for it. She's very positive, she's very outgoing, and she's very up for the adventure. Even when she's been kidnapped by the Red Ribbon Army and she's been told by Piccolo what their plan is, Instead of wanting to go home, she's there for it. And I think that if they carry on going down this direction with Pan as the series goes on, then she's going to be one of the most well-developed characters in Dragon Ball, and probably one of the most likable as well. But we need to see more of this interaction between Piccolo and Pan. All throughout the film, we're getting references and hints to Gohan being potentially the strongest fighter on the Earth, and that's definitely something that's going to come into play later. By the way, this video will have heavy spoilers, so if you haven't seen the film, go and watch it if you don't want to be spoiled, because a lot of my thoughts on this film have to do with the later part of the film, and I cannot talk about the later part of the film without talking about the spoilers. Another thing that's a complete breath of fresh air, Goku and Vegeta take a back seat from this film. I am a Vegeta stan. I stan Vegeta. He's my absolute favourite character in Dragon Ball, but I will admit that Dragon Ball has become the Goku and Vegeta show, and the Beerus show as well in a lot of ways. And all these characters are in the film, but they take a back seat. They're just off fighting on Beerus' planet, Goku and Vegeta, to see who's the better fighter out of the two of them. Broly's there as well, he's watching, and in the post-credit scene, there is a really fun moment for any Vegeta fan, which I'll get to a bit later on. But they're just there, fighting on Beerus' planet. We check in every now and then, but they never show up. I was expecting Goku to instant transmission right at the end of the film to save the day, but he never does, and that's such a breath of fresh air. And also kind of an indication to maybe where Dragon Ball's going. Goku and Vegeta have kind of hit the limits of their power. If not the limits of their power, they've definitely ruined the power creep of Dragon Ball, because now that they've got the power of the gods, where else is there to go? What other enemies can be introduced to be a threat? Goku and Vegeta, going forward, should be incapacitated a bit more. Maybe they're off on a mission with Beerus and Whis to another universe and they can't make it back. Maybe they're going to do something else, some other godly activity, leaving characters like Piccolo and Gohan to save the Earth. In my opinion, that's the way the Dragon Ball should be going. They should be relying on their secondary characters more. Gohan, Piccolo, Android 18, Trunks, Goten, Pan, and less so on Goku and Vegeta. Goku and Vegeta have done everything they need to do. Let's have less Goku and Vegeta. I'm not saying write them out of the show completely. Let's just have less of them. And if this film is an indication for where Dragon Ball is going, then that seems like the direction they're actually going to be going in. The soundtrack as well is such a huge positive for this film. While I did grow up with the Bruce Falconer over-the-top guitar riffs of Dragon Ball Z, there is a certain charm to the more toned-down Japanese style music, and that's kind of what they went with this film. And I think that every single piece complements the scene that it's part of oh so very well. The sad scenes, and trust me, there are a lot of them, are very somber, very mellow, and they will hit you right in the feels. The scenes where just characters are overloading with power, you really feel that, but in more of a toned down way. Instead of being this guitar riff, it's this kind of, like what they did with Dragon Ball Super Broly. They did it so well in Broly as well. It's kind of like it's hard to explain. It's kind of like the music is bursting out from the ground sort of thing. That's the way it kind of makes me feel. That probably sounds a bit weird, but hopefully someone out there understands what I'm trying to say. It's kind of like the music's kind of low-key, but also at the same time it's kind of bursting with power itself, which we get especially towards the final fight. The fact that Dr. Hero is not actually a bad person, he's just being manipulated by Magenta, is also really good as well, because now we've got this other character in Dragon Ball who can assist with a lot more of the goings-on in the series. And now I've got to talk about it. Gohan's big triumphant return to being the Earth's strongest fighter. Gohan achieves a brand new form, which, according to Akira Toriyama, because it's never name dropped in the film, this is called Beast Gohan. And the power that Beast Gohan has, yeah, we don't need Goku and Vegeta back anytime soon. Gohan should be the final boss for the good guys at this point. Beast Mode Gohan has such a interesting look to him. It's very much a reminiscent throwback to how Gohan looked when he was a teenager fighting Cell, when he first went Super Saiyan 2 and beat Cell with that Super Kamehameha with Goku. It's the same hairstyle, except instead of gold, it's now silver. And I really like the fact that each Saiyan kind of has their own branching evolution of the Super Saiyan form. So Goku essentially throughout Dragon Ball Z, Super Saiyan kind of went along the same lines. Goku got Super Saiyan, Trunks got Super Saiyan, Gohan got Super Saiyan, Vegeta got Super Saiyan, they got Super Saiyan 2, Goku got Super Saiyan 3, which Gotenks did as well. Goku and Vegeta got their God forms, they got Super Saiyan Blue. They all went down the same path. But one thing I really like is the fact that each Saiyan is now getting their own unique, distinct forms as part of the Super Saiyan transformation. So we've seen Goku get Ultra Instinct. Goku's is more focused on being able to move without thinking. Vegeta's is that Super Saiyan Blue evolved, which is kind of focused more on raw power. And Gohan's Beast Mode, we haven't really found out what the gimmick is yet, but it's obviously very different from Ultra Instinct and Super Saiyan Blue Evolved. And it's kind of playing on each character's personality. Goku doesn't think much, he likes to act, and that's what Ultra Instinct is. Vegeta's always craved pure power, and that's what Super Saiyan Blue Evolved is. Gohan's probably has something to do with his intelligence, but we haven't seen that yet. But it's obviously a different evolution route from the direction that Goku and Vegeta went in. And I'm curious to find out what what Gohan Beast actually is. And I like the fact that instead of just everyone getting blue, everyone getting Ultra Instinct, and everyone going down the same route, each character that's a Saiyan now has their own form to attain as the series goes on. Piccolo also got a form as well. Everyone hates the name, but I actually love it. Orange Piccolo. He looks like a fucking Chad. Everyone hates the name. They wanted something over the top and cool, but that's not Piccolo as a character. Piccolo has never cared about anything like that. I mean, for God's sake, his finishing move in the English dub is the Special Being Cannon. I know it's the Makako Sapporo in Japanese, but in English it's the Special Being Cannon. He doesn't care about names, he just cares about what they do. So he achieves this form. He's asked by Gohan, hey, you gotta give that a form now. He's like, oh, I don't know, Orange Piccolo. And he doesn't care. And Orange Piccolo sums up, as a name, sums up Piccolo's lack of caring about that sort of thing. And for that reason, I actually love the name Orange Piccolo, because it's just so it's just no effort to it. But that's Piccolo. That sums up Piccolo. So I actually really love the name for that reason. The strongest villain in the film, Cell Max, is introduced. This is not a reincarnated version of the Cell we know. He is still dead and presumably in hell. Cell Max is just a completely new creation. According to Akira Toriyama, if Magenta hadn't forced Dr. Hedo to wake him up early, Cell Max would have had the intelligence and the form, the perfect form of Cell, except being considerably bigger and considerably stronger. And I like the fact they went down this route with Cell. Instead of it just being a rehashed version of Resurrection F where they just brought back a villain like they did with Frieza, just bringing back Cell this time, they decided to completely create a brand new Cell, and that's what the fighters had to fight against. And I actually really liked that. I thought that was a different way of doing it, because otherwise there would have been way too many parallels called to this film and comparing it to Resurrection F. Cell Max is a monster. He's monstrous. He's essentially Bio Broly. There's not a terrible version. There's not a terrible villain. He can't speak, he just growls. He's incredibly strong. He even took out Orange Piccolo with no effort. We also get to see Android 18 and Krillin and Trunks and Goten have their time to shine. Trunks and Goten have aged up. They're teenagers now, which is great. This film takes place 4 years after the end of Dragon Ball Super, which means it takes place 1 year before the end of Dragon Ball Z, so it wouldn't make sense for them to be children. I like the little joke that they added in there as well, the little inside reference where either Trunks or Goten, I forgot who said it, says to Bulma, yeah, Saiyans are a weird thing. We look like kids for years, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, we just grow up. And that was just such a funny moment, because Goku did the same thing in Dragon Ball. He was a kid when he was supposed... He looked like a tiny kid when he was supposed to be like 15, 16 years old, and then he shows up at the World Tournament several years later as an 18-year-old, and he's a fully grown man. And Trunks and Goten kind of did the same thing in Dragon Ball Super, and so they kind of made reference to it. The only Saiyan we've seen grow up who didn't adhere to that was Gohan. But Gohan had a different journey as he was growing up anyway. But I like that little reference in there. It was a fun little joke. And I like the fact they're finally allowing Goten and Trunks to grow up. This film had a darker tone than every other Dragon Ball film, and in my opinion, Trunks and Goten have aged with the series. Dragon Ball Super was very light-hearted, as Dragon Ball always is, and because of that, they stayed young. They wanted to have these child characters, as the series had, like, for the immaturity aspect of the series. And now that the series has kind of grown a little bit and gotten darker, Trunks and Goten have been allowed to grow up. And they will also have replacement children characters in the form of Pan and probably Bulla when the TV series comes back. I also love the fact that it's been so many years since they last fused into Gotenks, they didn't do the fusion dance properly, and we got the return of Fat Gotenks. That was just the best. And Fat Gotenks wasn't useless. He kind of helped defeat Cell Max when they used him as a volleyball to break the head of Cell Max to allow Gohan's finishing blow to take him out. So even Fat Gotenks had a role here. And this is what happens when you don't bring Goku and Vegeta in to save the day. These characters like Gohan and Trunks and Android 18 and Krillin all get a chance to shine. I kind of understand as well why it was, again, big spoiler here. If you haven't seen the film and you don't want to know, do not listen to this next bit. I kind of understand, you clicked off if you don't want to hear us, why it was Gamma 2 that they killed off and not Gamma 1. Gamma 1 had no personality, that's just the truth of it. Out of the two of them, Gamma 2 was my favourite and I think everyone's favourites. So if Gamma 1 had been killed off, there would have been less of an emotional tie to that moment. I understand why they had to kill off one of the Gammas, because they're two very similar characters and you can't have two very similar characters going forward in the anime. I don't think anyway. So you choose the character with the strongest emotional connection to the fans. It's now on Dragon Ball to give us an emotional connection to Gamma 1 and not treat him like Jacko. And if you know what I mean by that, you know what I mean. Jacko was introduced as this kind of important character. He had his own manga. He was in pretty much everything around the time that he was introduced. The films, the TV series. He had a prominent role, and then all of a sudden he just was reduced to nothing, and we never really saw him again once the tournament, well, once the Goku Black Saga started. So I'm hoping that they kind of do something with Gamma 1 and actually develop his character going forward, and they don't give him the Jacko treatment. I'm excited to see how Gamma, being a good guy, working with the heroes, as well as Dr. Hedo working with Bulma at Capsule Corporation, is going to go. There's a lot of room there for a lot of storytelling, and I hope that it's something that they capitalize on in stories going forward, especially once Dragon Ball Super's TV show comes back. So again, I don't really do numbered grades on this channel because I think they're a bit arbitrary, but I personally thought that Dragon Ball Super Superhero was incredibly good. There's not a lot I can say badly about the film. I think maybe the pacing could have been a little bit better, but again, they only had about less than 2 hours to tell this story, so I kind of understand why the pacing issues were there, but it was essentially all to get to the final act, which the final act was incredible. I just hope that they don't give it the retelling treatment like they did with Resurrection F and Battle of Gods when Dragon Ball Super's anime comes back. I would much rather Dragon Ball Super's anime jumped into the Moro Saga and the Granola Saga and whatever else is next in the manga, or come up with its own original stories than retell Dragon Ball Super Superhero. Just when Dragon Ball Super comes back, just set it after the end of Z, and either tell the manga stories that haven't been told in the anime, or tell their own original stories. And please don't retread the ground of this film. This film is fantastic, and I don't want its memory to be ruined the way that they kind of ruined Battle of Gods and Resurrection F, which their Dragon Ball Super TV series show counterparts, they weren't as good. So hopefully it does not get that treatment. But I think they've learned their lesson from that, so I don't think they're going to. You watch me get proven really wrong. This video is going to age so badly, I can just tell. So, if you have enjoyed this video, please do comment down below what was your favourite thing about Dragon Ball Super Superhero. If you haven't seen it yet and you just did not give a shit about the spoilers, what are you excited to see the most when it comes out on home release? Don't forget to like this video and share it on social media as well. I've been James the Thunder. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel for more content, and I'll see you next time.